You probably know that SAP BTP is the platform for SAP applications, bringing together application development and automation, data and analytics, integration, and AI capabilities. And as you can imagine, with this broad range of solutions, there are many upgrades and new developments each quarter. And for today's session, product management decided to share with you 3 innovations. Let me quickly share my next presentation, which I am not getting now for whatever reason. So let me stop share and share again. Here we go. And here it is. So what's new with SAP BTP in Q1? Our innovations highlights we decided to share with you. These are Vector Engine, part of SAP HANA Cloud, the Generative AI Hub from the AI Core, and the new product, SAP Build Code, which you have heard about. It is now general available. After the presentations, we have time for your questions. So please post your questions in the chat, possibly connect them with the topic so that the experts will know what you are asking exactly. And now let me please share and introduce our speakers for today. So our first speaker will be Shabana Samsudin. Sorry. She is product manager for SAP HANA Cloud Multimodal, and Shabana is part of the SAP HANA product management organization and responsible for SAP HANA Cloud. Next, we have Pierpaolo Vezzosi, AI Solution Management and Marketing. Pierpaolo is part of AI marketing team and has been product and solution manager of various artificial intelligence SAP offerings in the last 10 years. Last but not least, we have Mark Huber, product manager for SAP Build. And Mark is part of the product management team of SAP Build in application development, focusing on low-code, no-code, AI, and fusion development. And he was formerly founder of an AI software company in Germany for predicting fresh food demands in supermarkets and bakeries. And with this, I would like to hand over to Shabana.
Yes.
Shabana, over to you.
Thank you, Tanya. Let me grab the screen for a bit in here to start sharing. I hope all of you can see my screen already. And hello, everyone. So for today's session, especially if I move to the next slide, so under the BTP umbrella, so we will be talking about the data and analytics perspective, which covers the database as a service, SAP HANA Cloud, and its data management and analytics capabilities and everything that gives you the possibility to integrate, store, prepare, model, and share your data in and out of your company. And in today's session also we'll focus on the new capability that's rolled out in SAP HANA Cloud's multi-model area. That's the Vector Engine. So to start with, an introduction to just vectors and embedding functions. So in artificial intelligence area, vectors are number lists that would represent things like objects or text. So large language models, LLMs, as we call in short, would understand these lists to make sense of your data. So they can be used to represent text, images, or even customer records, which will be further compared for the similarity. And to convert your usual data to vectors, we would use embedding functions. So these machine learning functions transform data like text or images into numerical codes. Before passing them on to your embedding functions, we need to chunk the data first, based on the sizes, which is like a pre-processing step. And then the embedding function would convert them into vector embeddings, which can be now eventually stored in SAP HANA Cloud. Coming to what motivated us to come up with the dedicated SAP HANA Cloud Vector Engine. So the introduction of HANA Cloud Vector Engine is driven by the need to enhance the capabilities of SAP HANA Cloud Platform itself, especially in case of being generative AI ready, as we see that the businesses around us have taken this AI and Gen AI route. Vector Engine and SAP HANA Cloud is built to like smoothly integrate with this newest generative AI technologies. And we wanted to allow our customers to take advantage of this unified database platform, meaning they can house their structural, transactional business data alongside spatial, graph, or unstructured data like JSON documents, and now also their vector data on SAP HANA Cloud, meaning they need not rely on a specialized database. And also we have ML components that can be leveraged on the vector data as well. So the vector engine's capabilities also extend to supporting generation of relevant and accurate content creation, helping to overcome the risk of AI hallucinations. And we have our vector engine also positioned as the default database platform for SAP's generative AI strategy. So it plays a crucial role in driving innovation and facilitating the adoption of AI technologies within SAP ecosystem itself. With that introduction, what do we now have in SAP HANA Cloud from QRC1 2024? So we have introduced a new data type, a real vector, to store the vector embeddings natively in memory in SAP HANA Cloud alongside two new distance calculating functions. L2 distance. This method calculates the straight line distance between the data points in the vector space. Here, lower distance indicates that the points are closer in the vector space and thus they have higher similarity. And cosine similarity, the other function. This method also compares the angles between the data points to give us an idea of how similar or dissimilar the vectors are. These two new functions and also the data type blend seamlessly with what you already know as SQL. So things like joins, filtering, or grouping, what you have been doing, they just stay as simple as they have always been. And like other multi-model capabilities, vector capabilities in HANA Cloud can also be used via the HANA ML Python client, giving our data scientists, the data scientist community, an interface to work with the Python scripts. And SAP HANA Cloud can now also integrate with the LangChain plugin, offering developers a way to use the large language models in their intelligent data applications that they are building. So it could be either through the Python scripts or the JavaScript. And vector data type that we talked about, the real vector, is now integrated to use with SAP Cloud Application Programming Model, enabling customers to, again, build intelligent data applications using the CAP model. And on the roadmap, we are streamlining the way vector engine can be integrated with SAP Generative AI Hub. Thus, we want to leverage the LLM options that are hosted on it. Now that way, we have the LLMs, the CAP interface to build their applications, and vector engine sitting beneath them to enable the data storage and the management part. For next set of quarters, we have few new improvising features upcoming for vectors, like support of finding cardinality of your vector columns, or enabling this vector field, being able to store the vector columns through the native storage extension capability in SAP HANA Cloud. And to move on, I'll just start sharing the demo, and then we'll move on to the next set of slides. So how do we now create a new table in SAP HANA Cloud with this new vector data type that I was mentioning? So I'm going to create a table called vectors, which has two fields basically, and you can see that this column is will be of the type real vector, which will hold my vector data. So now I just create my table and I want to insert few values into it. I have certain words whose vector embeddings are present here. I'm going to insert the vector embeddings alongside the words, and we can see that these vector embeddings have 5 dimensions based on, like, I have 5 dimensions of vector embeddings being stored in here. And now if I want to have a look at what I have input, we can see we will have the words and the respective vector embeddings showing up. Now I want to perform a similarity search. I'm gonna demo both of the similarity functions that we have. I'm going to check for words that are most similar to the word database within the same table. So we can see that the word database and database are an absolute match because they are no way different. But the words database and table, which could be contextually similar in the vector space, are closer together because you use these words pretty much together more often, right? So they have the least L2 distance between them, and they have the highest cosine similarity, meaning that they are highly similar. And the words database and icebreaker are not very similar. This belongs to a technological field, whereas this comes from the area of tools, right? An icebreaker, which is like pretty different from the word database. And hence they have the highest dissimilarity, lowest cosine similarity, and the highest distance between them, meaning they are highly dissimilar. Coming back to our slides now. What we just saw, I have tried to depict it. We just saw it in a 5-dimensional plane. Now I am trying to depict it on a 2-dimensional plane. This is how it would all look in a vector space. So like I mentioned, the words database and table fall very close to each other, meaning that they are highly similar, and the words database and icebreaker has the highest distance between them, meaning that they are highly dissimilar. So that's what we saw through the demo as well. And for the next slide, I want to just bring up this explanation about the top highlighted use case of the vector engine, that is the retrieval augmented generation area, where vector data stored on HANA Cloud will help in adding the extra context to the large language models. So without this context, what I call as the best matches here being fed to the large language models, without this context being provided, these large language models, there is high possibility that they will start hallucinating, as these LLMs, large language models, are not knowledge bases and they are not intelligent on their own. So it is highly useful that we bring in SAP HANA Cloud and the vector engine capabilities into picture here. I hope that was a good sum up of what we now have new in SAP HANA Cloud and how it is going to help you build your generative AI use cases. To just finish off, I would call all of you to get started with this vector engine capabilities. Try your hands on. We do have the free trial and free tier versions where you can go and access for yourself. And then we also have something called as the guided experience, which we call basic trial going forward. You have multiple of these tutorials that would help you educate yourselves. And then we also have a Git repository that would allow you to start using the AI Core, that's the Gen AI Hub, and the HANA Vector Engine part, which are all automated on the SAP BTP platform. Highly recommend to try it on your side. And we also have rolled out our discovery mission on HANA Cloud related to Vector Engine, which again gives you a very good hands-on experience. And I think with that, I have summed it up all, and I highly encourage you to try all of this out for yourself. And with that, I think I'll hand it over back to Tanya. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Well, our next presenter is Pierpaolo. Pierpaolo, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Hello, everybody. I'm Pierpaolo Vezzosi from the SAP office in Paris. I'm Solution Manager and Marketing Manager for our Generative AI functionalities.
Pierpaolo, your camera is not on.
Okay, let me turn my camera on. Okay, is it working now?
Yes.
Can you see it? Okay, great. Sorry for that. Right, so we're going to talk now about the Generative AI Hub in SAP BTP. So the Generative AI Hub is the service which you use to actually infuse intelligence into your own application, which you can create on the Business Technology Platform. With the Generative AI Hub, you can actually create an application and then use this service to have dialogues with large language models. So you can create a prompt, send the prompt through the Generative AI Hub to a large language model, and then the Generative AI Hub will collect the output and then send it back to your application. This is a service within the BTP platform. Actually, it's part of SAP AI Core. When you subscribe to SAP AI Core, you have to choose the SAP AI Core extended plan, and this plan contains all the Generative AI Hub technology, which you will find both in distributed within AI Core and AI Launch. But now you cannot find Generative AI Hub as a service itself into the list of services of BTP. Again, it's through the SAP AI Core extended plan. so when you actually subscribe to the AI Core Extended Plan with Generative AI Hub, you get a list of various technologies and services available for working with Generative AI large language models. You get, for example, a playground, which is a place where you can test prompts and engineer your prompts on your preferred large language models. You will have interfaces to clients, such as, for example, Python or Postman, in order to actually create your application and then create your dialogues with the large language model. And you also have various libraries that enable you to use simple commands which will actually trigger very complex activities in the background so that you can get very powerful applications on the large language models with very simple commands in your applications. All of those parts work with the same API, so you create an application, and this application through the same API is sent to the Generative AI Hub, which then sends the request to the large language model. Again, it's a single API, meaning that the application you create do not depend on the large language model. When you create an application, we'll actually create one single line saying, I want to use this specific large language model, like GPT 3.5, for example, or another one, and then you create your application. If one day you want to change the large language model with which you're working, you just need to change that single line, which calls the specific large language model. Your application will remain the same. At least the structure of the application will remain the same. It might be that changing large language model will mean that you have to change the syntax of your prompt to make it more able to get the information from the large language model, but the application will remain exactly the same. So you don't have to worry too much about how to create an application on different platforms like Azure or Google or Amazon. You just use a single API on the single platform, which is the SAP one, and then you can try it out on various large language models. And we support both large language models, which have been built by partners, the OpenAI, for example, once, or in the future, we are also going to add large language models which are created directly by SAP, and they are also stored within the SAP framework itself. So your data will not have to actually go away from the SAP infrastructure. That will always remain within the SAP cloud. The Generative AI Hub then gives you this ability to create your own applications onto the various large language models. So you can actually create a single application and use it to access various different large language models. And one interesting thing here is that, again, you have to work only with SAP. So your APIs will be the same. You don't have to create a specific calls or specific APIs for OpenAI or Google or Amazon and so on. You always use the ones for the SAP Generative AI platform. We take care of translating them to the necessary calls to the various large language models, which just means that you're actually simplifying a lot your development, because you learn once and then you can apply it to various different large language models. And then you create your application, and this application can then be imported into your other SAP infrastructure. For example, you want to create some generative AI solution, which, for example, analyzes a purchase order or a list of purchase orders, which might be stored in S4 HANA, and creates a summary of them, or generates text based on those purchase orders, or create translations on those purchase orders. Once you create this application, which dialogues with the large language model with the Generative AI Hub, then you can actually import and link it into S4 HANA or other SAP solutions. Again, this solution helps you to easily extend the artificial intelligence functionality, which is already available into the SAP solutions, with your own artificial intelligence needs, which are specifically tailored for your business. And apart from enabling you to create new applications or extending existing ones with your own preferred development tool, we also provide you a playground in the Launchpad, which enables you to test your own prompts. And so you actually can create a prompt in Launchpad, for an example here, where you actually can create a prompt and run it. And you can run this prompt onto various different large language models, all the ones which are supported by SAP. And this is great because actually this is a full-fledged prompt engineering interface where you can actually run the prompt, you can create collections of prompts, you can analyze the response of the prompts on different large language models, and then you can also analyze it in time. You run it today, you run it multiple times, and you can see if the quality of the answers improves or declines based on the changes that the vendor has done into the large language model. using this playground, you can actually find the best model which answers your specific business needs. And once you have chosen the best model, you can fine-tune the prompt. You can create the best prompt in order to actually get information back from the large language models. Once you have this prompt, you can save it here, and then you can reuse it, for example, in your code within the application which you created with the Python infrastructure interface which we provide, for example. So now let me go back to the presentation. I was telling you that we actually we enable you to connect to various large language models. Today, we support 4 families of large language models. We provide the OpenAI GPT, say, flavors of large language model on Azure, so the GPT 3.5, the Turbo, the GPT 4, and so on, and the new ones which will be released. We provide support to Falcon, Gemini, Palm, so you see different vendors and different kind of technologies there. And this list is not fixed. This is just what we support today. And whenever a new LLM comes out, which makes sense for our customers, we're going to add it to our list. Those large language models can be stored and can be running from the hyperscaler infrastructure like the Azure OpenAI. But with time, we are also going to provide large language model embedded into the SAP Cloud infrastructure. So we'll be OEMing some solution within our own infrastructure so that your data doesn't have to go outside of the SAP Cloud in order to be used to get an answer back from a large language model. And in the future, also, we provide SAP-specific large language models, which are going to be more useful for specific business processes, which we already work in our applications. Apart from enabling you to connect to various large language models, we also want to provide you a strong control and trust on the applications you create with generative AI. So we have already enabled you to connect in and inference information from the LLMs. We also provide you the full security and privacy, which is already within the BTP platform with the channel encryption channel, for example, and all the tenant infrastructure so that your data is not going to be shared with other customers. So whatever is already in BTP as security is already there. And we're going actually to increase this level of security with providing, for example, in the future, some technology to anonymize your data or to moderate the content, making sure that there are no threats which are going to be sent to the LLM, or there are no threats in the output, which is actually going to be obtained from the large language model. Now, here, what I want to make sure is that we don't have security issues. We already have the security you need there, and we want just to increase even the level of security to go beyond what you already have today and beyond what a hyperscaler can provide to you when working with your data. And for grounding, as Giovanna was saying before, today you can already start doing grounding using HANA Vector DB, for example, with the Generative AI Hub. You need to write some line of code. Today is not yet automated, but in the next future, we're going to create an automated way to do it with just one single call. You can use the HANA Vector database to get the specific vectors and information you need and ground your response onto that information as well. Okay, so this is information for today. So you can go using this link to the documentation, which tells exactly how you can actually deploy, subscribe, and use the Generative AI Hub in your applications. And also there is a link to the roadmap where we can show you exactly what is going to be delivered in the next few quarters so that you can understand where we're going and what new functionalities will be available for you to create successful application using the Generative AI Hub in your business needs. Thank you, and I'm giving back to Tanya the control.
Thank you so much, Pierpaolo. And now our next speaker is Mark Huber. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much. And hello and welcome also from my side. I quickly start sharing my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Very good. Okay, so now I cover the last part of the session. I will give you a quick introduction in SAP Build Code, our new tool for professional developers to create applications and extensions on BTP. So, as you can see, I'm focusing now on the application development area that is part of BTP. And here we already have a lot of different possibilities, how you can create your extensions, your applications. Last year, we announced SAP Build for low-code, no-code development. That includes process automation, build apps, work zone, mainly focusing on citizen developers, key users who create extensions by simply drag and drop elements together, creating processes, creating bots. And now, just 3 weeks ago, we released SAP Build Code for the professional developers creating applications that are based on Java, JavaScript, where we also include the first Gen AI capabilities really in the application development. That means that it supports you during the whole process of creating your full stack application, starting from data models, services, your sample data, unit tests. This all is supported by Gen AI capabilities, with the main reason that we want to increase the developer productivity so that you can create applications easier and faster with SAP Build Code. And of course, next to SAP Build Code, we still have the ABAP environment on BTP, which is really focused on creating ABAP apps. So all the application that really needs to be very close to your core processes, which maybe involves a lot of data, of course, are a good use case for ABAP development. And the idea is that we can really build extensions on all different backend systems, starting from ERP systems, your CRM systems, so that you have all the possibility. If you need an extension, you can choose if you want to build it with Build Code, with ABAP, with SAP Build, or also in a combination with all these tools together. So what is SAP Build Code? SAP Build Code is really to help you creating applications with the help of Gen AI, and also to make it as easy as possible to create extensions for SAP backend systems. Starting with the AI capabilities. So it's really an environment where you get support in all the different areas, from coding, testing, integrations, and also the application lifecycle management. So you simply can start creating your application by defining a prompt like, hey, I want to have an application for incident management that should contain some data entities like customer, our products, and please generate this model for me. Also create an OData service, which could be used also then, for example, in process automation, if you want to have an approval process on top of it. And of course, we provide all the capabilities to integrate also your SAP and third-party solutions. So in the Service Center, you see an overview of all the different systems that are connected to your BTP account. You can simply select the sources that you would like to include into your application and start extending the systems as you need it. And the good thing is that all the complex things like security, authorization, authentication of user, all is coming with the BTP itself. So we can just leverage all the capabilities that are there, and you don't have to take care about it. And of course, we also want to enhance the Fusion development. As you can see it already in the name, it's called SAP Build Code. So it's also related to SAP Build, our low-code, no-code solution. So you can easily bring the different types of solutions closer together. For example, you are creating a CAP service with SAP Build Code. You deploy to your SAP account, and then you could easily create an UI, for example, with build apps on top of it. So you can also combine the different types of developers that you have and create the perfect solution for your use case. And also the entry point for all the development is now unified. So we have the SAP lobby as one central entry point where you see all your projects and also can work together with different developers. So what is SAP Build Code? It combines all the different services that typically a professional developer needs to create applications on BTP. So it starts, for example, with the Business Application Studio, which is your development environment to create your code visual or also just by simply writing lines of code. It includes, for example, the Cloud Application Programming Model. We have support for all the different UI developments from UI5, Fiori Elements, SAP Web Components, but also if you need to create mobile applications, mobile services is also included in SAP Build Code. So if you have maybe complex scenarios to create offline capable mobile applications, you could easily do that with mobile services and create the solution that you prefer. Also, what is part of Build Code is, for example, document management service. So if you have a requirement for an extension that you need to store attachments like PDF documents, Excel spreadsheets, and you need to include that maybe, for example, in an approval process, then these documents can be easily stored in document management service. And you don't have to take care about the entitlement of these services because it comes all with SAP Build Code. And yeah, it just simplifies your work and you don't have to take care about the different services. And it also comes with a lot of different runtime services like the cloud logging service, like CI/CD integration for your app deployment. So this is all included in SAP Build Code. And with that, I would directly jump to my demo. As I mentioned, the entry point for SAP Build Code is also like for the SAP Build family, our lobby. So from here, you can create all your different projects. You can simply select the type of project that you would like to create. If it's an application that you want to build, or if you want to build a process or a business site with WorkZone. So this can be all done here within the tool. Of course, I'm going to create now an application with SAP Build Code. And also here I have different possibilities. If I just want to create a Fiori application on top of my backend system, or if I want to create a full stack application that has its own backend, runs in a HANA database, that can be done also in here. So I can simply select a type that I would want to create, provide a project name, and afterwards it's generated and you can start with the development. I already prepared one empty project to save some minutes. And what you will see is our storyboard. It's kind of the visual representation of your application. So it's an overview of all the external resources like your S/4HANA system, your data model that you have created, the services that can be consumed also by other tools, and also your user interfaces for the application. And now I could create here the entities manually, or I go to Joule and just use AI to generate my application. The first step usually is to generate the data model and the service. And I will start with this part. And you see, it's really, you are getting guided through all the steps that are necessary to create a full stack application. So I will open Joule. Now I have the Joule interface in here, and I can simply describe now the type of application that I would like to create. And I have prepared one prompt for that. In my case, I would like to create a risk management application and just describe a bit what's the use case about, what entities I expect, like I want to have risks and also the mitigations against these risks. I describe a bit what kind of fields should be in there, like the impact and criticality. So the impact would be, for example, a monetary impact, could be in a range of $1 and $20,000. And now the data model is generated for me. I get a proposal. If that is okay for me, I can simply accept the data model or I modify it. But in this case, it looks pretty good. It also included an association between the risk and the mitigation, so that's also very good. So I can use that. Now, as you can see in the middle of my screen, the risks and mitigations, so the data model is generated, and also the service is already in here. Next step typically would be to try out my application that I need some sample data. So I just switch my screen and go to the sample data editor, and I can see my two entities with the mitigations and also the risks. And I can see, oh, there's already some content in there that actually makes sense. So in my risks, there's a description like data breach, financial fraud, and also some mitigations are associated to it. Just that I can run the preview, I also will map the mitigations here manually, because this is something that seems to be missing. And afterwards, we can continue creating also some logic for the application. So I'm going back to the storyboard, and now I will define my services in more detail. So I go to the graphical modeler of the service, and what I want to do is to create some logic for the risks that are displayed. So I simply add some logic in here. And now I just have to find, okay, when should the logic be executed? In my case, I want to have it after I read the data. And I can simply, again, use Joule to generate the logic for me. And what I would like to do is that I will change the criticality of a risk if the impact is greater than $10,000. So I, again, describe this logic. And in here, you could be very creative. For example, if I would add now another line and please comment all the code that you are generating, then you will also find some comments in here. If you add, for example, that you need the comments in different languages, like you need it in English, Spanish, and German, you can just add it in here and it will be also translated. So you can be quite creative in generating the logic for you. So I get a short description about the logic and I will simply accept it. And now it generated the comments automatically, and I even have not asked for it. And it also included some logic if the result is an array or it's just a single value. So it has done more than I just asked for, but that looks already pretty good. So I will accept the logic. And to also show you that the logic actually works, I will simply add one UI on top of it. And I will just call it risk. And in this case, I don't use AI capabilities. I just use a template-based application and a very simple list report page. So I can just select that, assign it to my risks entity, that it uses all the metadata coming from the risks entity. So it now already knows, okay, which fields are included in there, and it generates the UI automatically for me. But I would like to change some fields that you can also see that you can change it here in the visual tools. So now the page map just opened for the UI that I've generated. I see it has two elements, the list report and object page. And I'm just going to change some fields in here. Like, for example, one column, the criticality, I don't need that one, so I will remove it. But I will change the impact, the appearance of the impact. So there's one annotation, which is called criticality, and I just assign my calculated criticality to this annotation. So it will change the appearance of this field in my UI. And to show you the result, I will simply run the preview. It will be executed now on my local machine, but we could also deploy it to the BTP account with one click, and then you will get all the services and everything activated automatically. So there it already is. We see it contains my two services, the risks and mitigations, and also my one UI for the risks. I can simply go in there and hopefully we will see the 5 values that were in our sample data. Yes, there they are. And we can also see that the impact was modified depending on the height of the impact. So all the values below 10,000 are in orange, and the one here above 10,000 is in red. So everything that I just created also was used in this UI that I have included in here. And with that, I'm at the end of the session. If you want to try out Build Code by yourself, we have a test drive exercise, which is an exercise on the trial landscape. So it's completely free to use. You can simply try out all the different AI capabilities in there. And I will just post the link to the exercise also in the chat. With that, Tanya, I hand over again to you.
Great, thank you so much. So perhaps I can first of all ask our experts to switch on the cameras again. So perfect, thank you. Now, we have had several questions in the chat. The great team we have in the background, working in the background, has already answered several of them. But there is one question open currently for Mark. There is no calculator for the capacity units next to Build Code. Based on what can I calculate the cost?
Yes, so all the components that are included in SAP Build Code are really based on capacity units. So you are only charged for the components that you are using. So for example, mobile services is included in SAP Build Code, but if you don't use it, of course, you also don't have to pay for it. But you are totally right. Currently, there's no calculator available. It's currently in development, and soon you will find it in the Discovery Center. There you can describe your use case, how many users you have, how much data you will store, and all these things. And afterwards, you get an estimation how many capacity units you will need for your use case. So you will find it soon in the Discovery Center.
Perfect, thank you. Or in our next What's New session.
Or
Okay, great. So the next question, Pier Paolo. I think you might remember I also work with the SAP Global User Groups, and One question we got in the past was, can I reuse my existing license of an LLM?
No, you don't need it actually. So you cannot reuse it and you don't need it because you can just purchase the license to SAP by subscribing to the BTP AI Core extended plan. And within that plan, you can connect to all the large language models we support. And so you have one single license from SAP. You pay only SAP, so you don't have to create multiple commercial agreements with multiple vendors. You have only one legal agreement with SAP. So again, less legal agreements with different vendors. And we do everything from the Generative AI Hub. So one single license with SAP enables you to connect to all the large language model we support. And you don't need your specific license to connect to all of them.
Cool. Thank you. Shabana, will the vector engine also be available on all hyperscalers?
Yes. So the vector engine, like I said, is an embedded part of SAP HANA Cloud, and it will be available in all the data centers that SAP HANA Cloud is now live on. So we don't have any restrictions with respect to data centers. So yeah, like I said, as a part of HANA Cloud, it applies to all data centers.
Thank you. Mark, for you, I have a question. Can I choose my own LLM to plug it into the build code?
Currently, we have selected the large language models that are used because we are really using different models for different purposes. So for example, the data models that you saw in the beginning of my demo are using another large language model than, for example, the logic part where it generated the criticality of a risk. So what we are doing in the background is we are evaluating which large language model has the best performance, the best results for the specific use cases. So it would be quite complex if a user would need to decide, okay, for which part do I select now, which large language model? So we are currently doing that job in the background and hopefully providing the best models for you.
Thank you so much. Another question for Shabana. How compatible is the SAP HANA Cloud Vector Engine with LangChain, and what opportunities does it unlock for the development community?
Sure. So while I was explaining about Vector Engine, we touched upon a little bit on the concept of building intelligent data applications. So these applications which would make your job easier. So if in case you want to build an intelligent data application and want to embed some generative AI into it, you would obviously would like to take advantage of having a large language model embedded in your application. And LangChain would definitely do that for you. So it is a plugin that makes it simpler for you to have your application gelled with a large language model. So the LangChain plugin comes with certain opportunities for you to read your text documents or image documents directly from your local or any location that you have placed them into. It provides you an opportunity to chunk your data and so on, which are like very necessary pre-processing steps before you actually embed your data into vectors, right? So all of that is possible on the LangChain, and Vector Engine is very, very compatible in that manner. We have now officially rolled out our plugin, our Vector Engine to be compatible with LangChain plugin, both via the Python scripts and also JavaScript. So you can either write a Python app or a JavaScript app using LangChain, using Vector Engine as a place where you store your data, and then you have the ability to easily conversate with the large language models.
Thank you for the clarifying question. Now, next one, Pier Paolo. I would like to know why using Generative AI Hub instead of going directly to the hyperscalers LLMs.
I think the main reason to use, the main benefits of using it is that you can change your mind because you just create your application once and then you can choose, you can change the large language model afterwards. I mean, large language models are a technology which is evaluating very, very fast right now. So there are new vendors coming up, new version of the large language models coming up. So if you create an application for a specific LLM, a few months from now, maybe it's already old. So with our solution, you can just change one line of code and move your application from one LLM to another, and not just from the same vendor, but from another vendor who might provide something more powerful or less expensive, for example. So that's the main goal. And actually, we already got some customers who decided to come with us because we were offering this flexibility. The second reason also is because we provide you a higher level of control and security than creating your own application. For example, the users are already defined in the BTP system, so you can reuse them in your application. We can provide you additional levels of control of the prompts, for example, of the output of the prompts natively within the Generative AI Hub. So you get what you get with an hyperscaler, plus something else which hyperscalers don't provide you. And you have the opportunity to change your mind if you're not happy with the large language model, which is quite important for the evolution of your solution.
Thank you. I have one question for Mark. When talking to customers, the first thing they always ask, can I try it out? So is it possible for our customers to try out Build Code before buying it?
Yep, that's definitely possible. And there, really, the easiest way is just to go to the trial environment. We have prepared one booster there where you can simply activate all the necessary services with one booster. And afterwards, you have all the capabilities in there. One limitation is the amount of AI calls that you have. So on the trial environment, you have only a specific amount of AI requests. And if you really want to use it on a large scale, you have to go then to your standard SAP BTP account and also activate it then on your account. Also, there is a booster available, and then you don't have any limitations.
Great, thank you. And one next, Shabana, one question for you. I mean, vector engine sounds really cool, but actually, what motivated us to roll it out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I touched base on this a little bit in the presentation, but to just reiterate, so SAP's strategy this year has been to motivate a lot of AI scenarios in the businesses, right? We want to have generative AI and AI play a major role in the businesses that we support. And just as a part of it, we wanted to have our own vector engine in the sense you are embedding generative AI or AI scenarios into your businesses. You would want to place these vectors, which are the kind of language that these AI models will understand in a place. And we already have like SAP HANA Cloud, which kind of now combines the ability for you to store spatial, graph, or document store on SAP HANA Cloud. And now we wanted to extend it also to make it possible for you to have your vectors data also placed alongside all of this. Thus, that way you're having a unified platform, all-in-one database where you can just perform all the necessary analytics just using SQL, which is as simple as that. And not only other components just within BTP that are also accelerating the generative AI processes, right? We have Mark talk about the build code. We have like Pepe talk about the generative AI hub, and we are also going to use the LLMs that are also on generative AI hub. That way you have everything under one platform. You have the vector database. You need not depend on any specialized databases, which would cause a lot of complexity, ETL efforts, and data duplication, and all of that, which can be time consuming. So just cutting short on all of that, we provide all under a single platform, also combining with other great products that we have just within BTP, just making everything streamlined. So that is our motive.
Great, thank you so much. Now I have another question for Pierpaolo. Pierpaolo, the Gen AI Hub, is it only for customers, or have we integrated it also in other SAP solutions?
Actually, we do use the Generative AI Hub in all of our SAP solutions. So that's the company, let's say, recommendation or not recommendation or rule is that all of our solutions are going to use the Generative AI Hub in order to access large language models. So this is important because then we can concentrate all of our innovation in a single place. And those innovations will be available at the same time for our teams to develop and for our customers. So we're sure that both SAP and our customers will get the best and latest functionality for generative AI using the SAP framework.
Oh, thank you. Shvana, we have a question from the chat. So are HANA Vector and Build Code also available on CPEA or only within the new BTPEA, if you look at consumption-based builds?
Yeah, maybe I can go fast just on HANA Cloud. So HANA Cloud is available for customers to consumption through CPEA and BTPA and also as pay-go model. So yeah.
The same is also for Build Code. It's also available for CPEA, BTPA, pay-as-you-go, trial.
Yeah, trial to make sure you get it and try hands-on products free of cost.
Cool. We got a heart for that answer. Sorry, Pierpaolo?
Same for SAP AI Core. All the licenses models are available.
Great. And we have a cool in the chat. So we still have 5 minutes. I will take another question. That is for Mark. So how do you integrate an application to an existing backend?
Maybe I can quickly share it. I will just share my screen. That's probably easier. So it's pretty simple. Maybe I can also use just the example that I've created. So I can easily just add my external resource directly in the tool itself. So in the Service Center, you will see all your different SAP systems that are available, all the different services, and you can simply search for the object that you would like to choose. For example, here we have a business partner object, and I can select the entities that I need and just add it to my project, and that's basically it. Now it's integrated to the application that I've defined. And now I can just simply select, okay, which fields do I want to use? How is it connected maybe to the risks or whatever? And you can bring the external systems quite easily together in the applications that you are going to create.
Oh, thank you so much. And with this, I would like to close the session with a big thanks to our experts for your time and your really great presentations and all your answers to the questions. And of course, a big thanks to our attendees for joining. I hope you got a lot of value from this session, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next sessions. Have a great day. Have a great evening, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.